So it's an extremely great pleasure to be here in this wonderful city of Jaipur, where many of the original deities of Vrindavan are staying. So this is also another Gupta Vrindavan. They used to say that Vrindavan was a city of 5,000 temples. I think it must be 20,000 by now. But they always used to sell Jaipur as a temple of 20,000. I must be 40 or 50,000 by now. So it's especially ecstatic to be here with all these wonderful deities of the Gaudiya Sampradaya from our Sri Vrindavan Dham. And it's even more auspicious that all our wonderful friends from Juhu have come here. So it's doubly auspicious. And the weather this time of year is also very pleasant. So everything is auspicious. So, and of course, the main deity here is Govinda Dev, who's the deity of Srila Rupa Goswami. So I thought we'd start off, because we know the Rupa Goswami, in his Braj form, he's none other than Sri Rupa Manjari. So I thought we would start off with a very beautiful bhajan. I have to find it. Where did it go? Anyway, if you have your devices, you please, first of all, put them on silent, because these little babies have habit of crying in the middle of the katha. Okay. So if everybody can look up on their device, Sri Rupi Manjari Pada. Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sei Mora Sampada. Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, Sei Mora Sampada. Sei Mora Bhajana Pujana. Sei Mora Pranadana, Sei Mora Abhanana, Sei Mora Jivanera Jivana. Sei Mora Rasanidhi, Sei Mora Vanjasiddhi, Sei Mora Viradharama, Sei Gata Sei Japa, Sei Mora Mantra Japa, Simo Dharmakarama Anukula Habibithi Se pare hoi besidi Mirakiwa Edinayane Serupa Manjari Nasi Serupa Madhuri Rashi Prana Kuvalaya Shashi Prabhulita Habishidene Tua Adarshana Ahi Gale Jara Lade Chirodina Kapita Jivana Chirodina Kapita Jivana Chirodina Prabhu Koradaya Dihamare Parajaya Narottama Lolo Sharana Narottama Lolo Sharana Sevipa Manjari Pada Sinoda Sandada Sima Bhajana Pujana Siripa Manjari Pada Siripa Manjari Pada Siripa Manjari Pada Siripa Manjari Pada Sri Goswami Pada ki Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurmilitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparandigam Ardhanastrinandantaya Vidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhevascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha So I was just remembering a very beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada. One time, Srila Prabhupada was because now, on April 6th is the 50th anniversary of Krishna Balaram Mandir. So we're having a big festival from like the 20th of April up to the 20th of March up to the 6th of April. If anybody can come, it's going to be a very special, wonderful festival. So, as we know, Prabhupada established Krishna Balaram Mandir. Although most of the temples we see in Vrindavan, they're all Radha Krishna Mandir. He established Krishna Balaram as the main deities of our temple there in Vrindavan. So after the installation, Prabhupada was going on a morning walk and he asked all of the devotees, who's more powerful, Krishna or Balaram? What do you think? Who said Balaram is more powerful? Who says Krishna is more powerful? Why do you say? That's also there, but Balaram's the older brother, so. Yes, Prabhupada said, you see, Balaram, he has to keep his hand on Krishna's shoulder. So Krishna is supporting Balaram, so Krishna is more powerful. Srila Prabhupada ki. So anyway, Jaipur has always been very intimately connected with Vrindavan. Because we see that most of the people in Rajasthan, they're all crazy for Radha and Krishna. And Eastern UP, Western UP, same. They're all crazy for Radha and Krishna. Eastern UP, they're all after Lord Shiva, Kashi Vishwanath. Even Gujarat, because Srinathji is there, and their traditional greeting of Gujarat is Jai Sri Krishna. No? Then we have Madhya Pradesh, that's all mixed up. It's muddled, I call it muddled Pradesh. Some places for Krishna, some places for Shiva. But kings have always been connected with Sri Vrindavan Dham. And in fact, most of the holy places were ruined after India got independence. They got rid of all the kings. Because we see, if we go any holy place, all the places were built by the kings, right? We go to, even in, of course, Vrindavan, we know this Bhagwan Singh, no, Man Singh, who was the father of Jai Singh, he built that Govinda Dev temple. There's Gwalior Mandir, the original king who excavated Kusum Sarovar was Maharaj Virdev Singh from Orcha, one place in Madhya Pradesh. So all these places, they were all built up and maintained by the kings. Just like one time I went to Thailand, and there they have a very old tradition. The king, even though now, of course, they've also more or less sidelined the kings, but still they have a lot of power there. And I went to see the so-called Emerald Buddha. Actually, he's made of jade, but somehow he's got fame as the Emerald Buddha. And I saw all the buildings there completely maintained and, super clean. Everything was perfect and complete. We went through and so beautiful place on the edges of the Chaja, this part of coming out like this. It was all with brass, and they had little bells, brass bells hanging down, and the dingers were people leaves. So everything was so immaculately clean, so beautifully maintained. And I realized, because it was right near the king's palace, it was because there was a king who was maintaining it. And I became so envious. And I realized as soon as we got rid of our kings here, then we ruined all the holy places. Because unfortunately, originally they were interested in economic development rather than spiritual development. Now, if you go to Braj, you see everywhere the government is spending so much money on Braj, fixing up all the kunds and fixing up all the temples. It's again becoming like that. But all these places, even Pavan Sarovar was maintained by the king of Bardhaman. He was more or less an atheist, and he thought all these sadhus are just beggars, useless fellows. And one day, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he had a big exposition there. They built all these beautiful dioramas. Even till today, you can go in Bardhaman, and there's one road still today, called Exposition Road, where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had all these beautiful dioramas of Krishna's pastimes, and everyone came to see. So that king, he also heard this big sadhu was there. He thought these are all humble fellows. So he went to see him. As soon as he walked into Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's presence, his head went down to the ground. Zoom, bang! And he became a Vaishnava. And very much admired Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. In fact, he went to Braj, and he saw the poor condition of place in Nandagram called Pavan Sarovar. How many people have seen Pavan Sarovar? So he purchased that whole place and he used to maintain it and keep it very nicely. So after the kings were finished, then they had no more way to tax and collect money and maintain these things. So he went to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and I've seen the photocopies of the papers. It's all in Urdu, but it's this explaining how the deed, how he turned this whole Pavan Sarovar over to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Therefore, we see the name of the school there of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Inter College. And Srila Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir is there, and they're fixing that up also very nicely. So this whole place was, because he was no longer able to maintain, he turned it over to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who turned it over to Bahan Maharaj, and they made this, they maintained this place very nicely like that. So I was always so envious when I went to Thailand. I saw everything is so beautiful because there's a king who's maintaining everything. So kings have always been very intimately connected. In fact, it was the father of Jai Singh, Man Singh, who built that original Govindadev temple. And you can go just not many kilometers ahead down the road. If you go, there's a place called Amber Palace. There's also, in fact, this place, many of the big posters advertising, tourism in India, they show the picture of the Amber Palace and, a big elephant with, great big things draped over it. And this is the Man Singh's place. And later Jai Singh, he moved here. You can see it's all surrounded by mountains. It's impossible that no one was able to conquer Jaipur. So at that time, when there was Mughal invasion in Braj, then Jai Singh, he brought Govindadev here to Jaipur. And if you go on top of there's a fort up there. What is it called? Nargar, I think. Where's our Harish? Nargar. Big fort up there. If you go on top of there, you look down, you can see, because if you came to Jaipur, you remember, eventually you went through some gate and you saw a big wall. So that's called the walled city. As you see inside that wall, the very center of the city is Govindadev. Very center of the temple, the whole city, the walled city is Govindadev. Now Jaipur has expanded everywhere, all over the place, but the original city is the very center. And you see, if of course, you just got, you haven't been. Now we're supposed to go there after this lecture, so you'll see this wonderful spontaneous mood in Jaipur. Everybody in the town loves him. They have their special, everyone has their favorite darshan. Some come for Mangalarti, some for Darshanarti, some come for Walbog, some come for uh, 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 Rajbog, some come for so many different darshans. Everyone has their favorite time. It is not that there's some brahmachari ashram and the brahmacharis all come and grab the instruments and do kirtan. Just the village itself, they grab the instruments, they do kirtan. And always at the end of every arti, they circumambulate chanting Mahamantra. Uh, uh, so, in fact, in the West, when we first heard Prabhupada preaching, we had this idea that every city in India is like this. In the middle of the city is the deity, and everybody comes and worships and circumambulates and everything. And we got off the planes in Delhi and Bombay, and we said, well, what is this? When we finally came to Jaipur, we saw the Krishna consciousness that Prabhupada was talking about. Everybody in the city is crazy for Govinda Dev. Hmm? Everyone is crazy for Govinda Dev. You see, I remember there was always one guy, very old guy, with a big, huge pagari, light pink colored pagari. And he'd just be standing there, and nobody knew what he was talking about. Him and Govinda Dev were talking. He was just there talking to Govinda Dev. All the Rajasthani ladies with their beautiful saris and dozens of bangles were just spinning and dancing for Govinda Dev. And in the old days, he used to sell those laddus. Somehow they stopped it since COVID, but they haven't started again. I don't know why. But everyone bought the laddus, not for himself. Everybody used to stand around in the Prikamambar handing out. I used to also buy in, and especially right in the first turn, now where everybody lines up to get close darshan, they have a special, right in that corner, there's a column here like that, and I could protect myself a little bit because as soon as they see a white sadhu, everybody come charging. So I would get right in that little corner there by that column and just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare, giving out pieces of Govinda Dev Mahaprasad for everyone. That was my favorite pastime. So this wonderful spontaneous mood of this wonderful mood of spontaneous devotional service we saw here in Jaipur, and it's become the favorite of our Western devotees especially. Such a nice mood here. And in fact, if you see, Govinda is exact center, but right directly in front is the king's palace. From the king's palace, he could easily take straight darshan of Govinda Dev. In fact, you see all of the old letters of the king of Jaipur in the service of Sri Radha Govinda Dev. The service of Sri Radha Govinda Dev Ji. Then he would say Jai Singh. So this way, Govinda Dev was brought here. He became the king of Jaipur. And Damodar has also come here. And Vinodji Lal of Lokanath Goswami, he's also come here. And somehow they say this at Kanak Bhavan, there's Radhamada, they say it's from Jayadev Goswami, but I don't find any history about it. Jayadev lived out his life in Puri. But anyway, so many of the original deities of Vrindavan are here in Jaipur, so we call it the Gupta Vrindavan. So, of course, Damodar we know was the deity of Srila Jiva Goswami. And he was given to him, he was carved by Srila Rupa Goswami, and he was given to Srila Jiva Goswami to worship. So that when you go there, that small deity down below in front, that's the original Damodar that was carved by the hand of Srila Rupa Goswami, given to Jiva Goswami. And many other deities are also there in that temple. There's wonderful Nrsingadev there. Radha Vrindavan Chandra is there. I can't remember just now. We'll go there and see. So many wonderful deities are there. Then just around the corner, in fact, when I first came here, you see that huge covering over the darshan mandap. That was not there. There was nothing. Everybody was taking darshan in the hot sun. When I first came here, I can't remember when the first time I came. It was sometime in the early 80s I came here. And I saw and many times after that, there was no covering. Then somehow they built that beautiful covering, and you look at the columns very carefully, you'll find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on one side, and Nityananda Prabhu is on the other side. You look around, there's Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all the Goswamis are there. And of course, on the side of the Prikrama Marg, they had a beautiful picture of Gaur-Nitai dancing in Kirtan. And then just beyond that, there's a huge satsang bhavan. And the sign is there to tell you, that is the biggest span without any column in the middle to support it in the world. It got the Guinness Book of World Records. There's a huge span like that with no columns in this, just big, huge spans. That's the largest span without supporting columns. So I watched that also came up. The beautiful garden behind, just on the side of Govindadev. If you go around to the left, then there's a place they have a well there with very special water, and you'll see everybody there drinking the water. They're there with their copper pots, and they're giving that special tasty water, very healthy water. And then you continue around back to the side, there's a beautiful deity of Ganga Devi, and a little temple for a deity of Radha Gopalji. And then you see beautiful area of so many fountains and a beautiful garden. And finally, if you go all the way to the very, very, very end, there's this huge tank. It's a very, very wonderful place. So anyway, in the old days, there was just a tiny little doorway about this wide between all the shops, and you had to know where it was, just around the corner from Radha Damodar. You went around the corner, and there's just a little opening like this. And then you went up some stairs, and then there was the deity of Radha Vinodji Lal, who was found by Lokanath Goswami, because Lokanath Goswami was the first to get the order from Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan and find out all the places of Krishna's pastimes that had been lost and forgotten. So he was traveling here and there, and just near a place, now it's known as Cairo, but the original name is Kedarvan. Most of the devotees say Kadiravan. And I remember one time on Braj Prikrama with our Lokanath Goswami, I was asking everybody for Kadiravan. And all the villagers would just look at me with blinking eyes, Finally, one villager who was a little bit more clever said, "Oh, Kadiravan? Kadiravan? You want to go to Kadiravan? You go that way." So it's called Cairo because that is where Krishna was attacked by Bakasura, who tried to swallow him up. So all the Brishvasis, all the cowherd boys were crying, "Cairo, Cairo, Karai, 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 Cairo, Cairo." Of course, we know Krishna just ripped him in half. So there's a kund near there called Kishori Kund. In the Kishori Kund, Lokanath Goswami was taking his bath and his gamsha got stuck on something. So he pulled it and he continued taking his bath, and again some tug was there. And so he pulled his dhoti away, and third time there's tug. So then he said, "What is this?" And he reached under the water and he pulled out Binoji Lal, who was hiding in the water there waiting for his devotee to come. So then he used to carry him around in a bag around his neck. So wherever he went, then Radha Binoji would tell him, what happened, what Leela took place here, what Leela took place there. And eventually he was worshipping him just beyond Radharaman temple. There's a Radha Gokulanand, that's the deity of our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But Radha Binod was there. So somehow Binoji Lal, he came there to that place, just around there. Now they have beautiful carved marble, archway over that, and all marble around that place. Otherwise, because old days it was just a little tiny passageway between the shops. You'd easily miss it. But now you can see it's there, beautiful carved marble dome and everything is there. And you go upstairs and beautiful deity of Radha Vinod Lal is there. Then a little ways over this direction, you have to know where the street is, and you take that street down and down and down and down, and you'll come eventually to Radha Gopinath. Because Gopinath and our Indraduna Swami Maharaj has fixed up beautiful place there, because he was originally found by Madhu Pandit Goswami in Bamsivat. He was lost in the forest, just in the forest. There's a beautiful painting there done by Maharaj's disciples of Madhu Pandit, looking in the forest and seeing this deity of Madhu Pandit there underneath the tree of Bamsivat. So that Gopinath somehow, he also came here. And very nice. You'll see all these, somehow he has his whole group of old gopis there, always singing. They used to sing upstairs, but since COVID, they have them all downstairs now. They don't let people go up. Somehow, just because I have touch of Vrindavan, they say, come. And we got to take darshan right at the lotus feet of Gopinath. They used to all sit up there on the altar, and all day long they were, these beautiful voices of the old ladies just singing beautiful bhajans for Gopinath. So Gopinath has also come there. And then Madan Mohan also used to be here. I'm not exactly sure exactly where he was, but Madan Mohan was also here. And now he's situated in a place that we're scheduled to go, I guess, in a couple of days from now, to Karoli. How we got to Karoli, that's very interesting. Because the Maharaja of Jaipur, he married his daughter to the Prince of Karoli. And we know, especially for a royal wedding, Indian weddings, they go on forever and ever, In ISKCON, it's very simple. Swaha Haribol Mahaprasadi Govinde. But real Indian wedding goes on for days. And we see, of course, now due to Western influence, things are changing. But when I first came to India, there was hardly anything called divorce, Once you've been through a wedding for so many days like this, never again. So the last day, you all know, that's called Bidai, when the girl is going to her father-in-law's house. Is there any water? So in the modern age, we can't understand this, but in olden times, it was a very big deal. She never lived out of the protection of her father. Now she's leaving her father's house. It's very dramatic, part of the whole wedding, the last day, Bidai. Even we see grown men crying. And the girl is crying like anything. I've seen some places in UP, and they draw it out. And she gets in the car, she goes off, everybody's crying, she embraces her mother, gets in the car, they drive off, and then 3 minutes later they come back, and she runs out of the car and embraces her mother, and she's crying, and everyone's crying, and they just draw it out. In fact, I was telling this story one time in the West, and when Indian lady was there remembering her own wedding, she also began to cry. So this is a very, very traumatic moment in the wedding. So the day before the bidai, the princess of Jaipur, she was crying and crying. So her father came, the king came, he said, please, please don't cry. Whatever you want, I'll give you. Just don't cry. But she was very, very clever lady. She lived in the palace. She knew all the intrigue and all the politics of the palace. So she kept quiet. He said, no, no, please don't cry. I can't stand it. Whatever you want, I'll give you. She kept quiet. He said, I give my word. Whatever you want, I'll give you. Please don't cry. So now Kshatriya is given his word. She was clever, huh? Now Kshatriya is given his word. He can't go back on his word, Huh? And all she said was, now I'm leaving Jaipur and my Madan Mohan is staying here. But he could understand. Kings are also very clever. That's why they're kings. He said, oh, you want to take my Madan Mohan? Huh? All right. Tomorrow morning, you will have to recognize him blindfolded. I will put all the three deities, Madan Mohan, Gopinath, and Damodar, together, and you will have to, Madan Mohan, and Govindadev all together, and you will have to recognize him blindfolded. So all night long she was praying and praying and praying that please help me, please help me. So in a dream, Madan Mohan came and said, I have broken my flute. Before I knew about this story, I used to go to Karoli and I would look, and you can't draw a straight line between, you see the flute going in one hand, the hands are together like this, you see it going in here and coming out here, and you can't. I thought it's some type of optical illusion, Then I heard this story. He said, I have broken my flute. So they can only put one half of the flute in this side and one half of the flute in this side. So if you look at it, you'll see it. You can't draw a straight line. So in the morning, they blindfolded her, and she felt the three deities, and she found the one with the broken flute, said, this is my Madan Mohan. So then the king had a big rath made, and he sent half his army with him, and they took Madan Mohan off to Karoli. Mm-hmm. And the first time I went to Karoli, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. You're going there, you'll see there's only sky, sun, and stone. In fact, there's a big industry there in Hindawan where this special stone comes from there. And somehow between these three things, sky, sun, and stone, everybody's eking out a living somehow or another. So it's a totally useless town. Nothing was there. In fact, there was only two dharmshalas. One of them was very, very clean and had no water. And at the other end of the town, there was a dharmshala, had water but was filthy. Now, if you go to, there's AC hotels and everything. Because nearby is Kela Devi, so people go there. It became a big tourist spot. So now but it's just totally useless little town. And you just follow the path up and up and up and up, and then you come through this doorway, and this huge, enormous temple, even bigger than this area here. Huge temple is there, and Madan Mohan is there, and the king's, as I recall, his name is Nritya Gopal. On this side, there's the king's personal deity, Nritya Gopal, and Madan Mohan, of course, is in the center, and there's a Prikrama Marg almost like Vrindavan, you have to go down and around. And almost like Srinathji, just outside in all the bazaars are selling Mahaprasad from the deity of Madan Mohan. It's a very beautiful place, and beautiful paintings in the ceiling over the darshan mandap. There's beautiful paintings in the ceiling with gold leaf, and just an incredible temple. This completely useless little town used to be just totally useless little town. This, and behind, of course, there's a big palace of the king. So that's how our Madan Mohan has gone off to Karoli. So anyway, somehow or other they've got this from the ISKCON Purana, that if you see Govinda, Gopinath and Madan Mohan in one day and get back to Vrindavan, you leave from Vrindavan, you go and take darshan of all the deities and get back to Vrindavan, somehow you'll get some special benefit. But, you know, this is only in the ISKCON Purana because, you know, when I first came to India, hardly anybody had a car. There were only two cars. There was a Fiat, this, what do you call it? Padmini, and an Ambassador. That was it. Huh? Uh, uh, so, how anybody could go from Vrindavan to Jaipur and Karoli and back to Vrindavan in one day, I don't know how they could manage such a thing. I remember when our Braharupa's father, what was his name? Vishnumurti. Vishnumurti, was it? Uh-huh. I remember he did that. He rented a car from Vrindavan and went all the way to Jaipur, went to Karoli and got back to Vrindavan. And he was very old. I said, no, you don't do this. Like, this is just ISKCON Purana. So, but it's always very nice to go to Karoli and get darshan there. Mm. And even Prabhupada did some program there. One of the residents of Jaipur pointed out that just as when you enter the temple of Govindadev, you'll see it says Sri Nityananda Mahaprabhu Dwar. Mm-hmm. So you enter by Lord Nityananda's mercy, because we know we can only get Lord Chaitanya's mercy through Lord Nityananda. So we enter by Sri Nityananda Mahaprabhu Dwar, and if you come out, turn around, look back, it says Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Dwar. We come out by the Gauranga Mahaprabhu Dwar. Uh, uh, it's very interesting like that. Anyway, you'll see everywhere you see. Definitely this. There must be so many thousands of temples everywhere. We just see temple and temple and temple. I looked out of our hotel room. There's some says Tikana. I don't know all the temples. They say Tikana Sri Giridhari Mandir. So outside our place, our hotel, there's some Giridhari Mandir, and here's Govindadev Mandir, and there's Damodar, and all these wonderful temples here, and all up and down the main roads here, you see all these incredible temples. It's such an inspiring place for Krishna consciousness. So anyway, one resident pointed to me that when you come in, just as you're leaving by the Gauranga Mahaprabhu Dwar, now I remember what I was going to say, that Gauranga Mahaprabhu Dwar, you look up to the left above where they're keeping the shoes, you'll see a big chetri there. And they say, so she told me this is where the disciple, Prabhupada disciple told her that's where Prabhupada was sitting and giving his lecture here. Just Prabhupada, and some more water. And tomorrow, of course, is the disappearance day of my very, very dear godbrother, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So this is the place where he got sannyas, here at Govindadev Temple, during that Pandal program, huh? From Prabhupada, yeah, of course. So anyway, you have some special temples to see today, so I'll put my voice to rest here. If there's any questions, we can try to answer them. Otherwise, then we'll go for darshan of some of these places. Hare Krishna. Anybody has question? Yes. Oh, yes. Well, what happened was after there's a special Leela described, I think it's maybe Skandapurana, I can't remember, that maybe that when Krishna came, that who was it? There was one demon that Krishna killed, and he didn't know that Krishna had moved to Dwarka, so he attacked Braj. So Krishna came back to Dantavakra. So Krishna came back to take care of him because he didn't want him destroying Braj, because he was just going to tear up the whole place till he found out where Krishna was. And then the Brishpasis, they met with Krishna and they begged him, pleaded, Lala, take us someplace where no Akrur will come and take you away, no Asuras are there, you please take us someplace. So Krishna, somehow by his mystic power, he got all the Brishpasis on his chariot, and he split in two. Dwarkadish went back to Dwarka, and Krishna took all the Brishpasis back to Golok. So when Bhadranath, Krishna's great-grandson, he came to Vrindavan, he wanted to make special places for all the deities to commemorate the Leela Stalis of Lord Krishna. So he came to the town that we now know as Vrindavan, because the forest of Vrindavan stretches from the municipality we now call Vrindavan all the way up to Nandagam, 40 kilometers all the way up to Nandagam, including Barsana and Govardhan. That is the forest of Vrindavan. The town that's now called Vrindavan became known as Vrindavan because that's where Krishna's most famous Leela, Ras Leela, took place. So Vajranath, he wanted to make a special deity for Vrindavan because that's the most famous place. So he got Vishwakarma to come, and Vishwakarma made one deity, and Vajranath knew that there's only one person, Mother Uttara. She had seen, she was the only person left on the planet who had seen Lord Krishna when he was there. So he brought Mother Uttara from Mathura, and as soon as she saw Madan Mohan, she said, from the Kati Stal to the feet, that is Sakshat Brajananandan Shamsundar. So that became Madan Mohan. So then Bhadranath wasn't satisfied, so he had Vishwakarma make another deity. And again they brought Mother Uttara, and she looked at him, he said, the Vakshastal, the chest, that is Sakshat Brajananandan Shamsundar. So that became Gopinath. So he made a third deity. As soon as Mother Uttara came from Mathura and she saw that third deity, she immediately pulled her sari over her face. Because through Mother Kunti, she's some relative, Vasudeva and Devaki, and from that Kunti side, she's the younger descendant of Krishna, so she can't be in front of her uncle or great grand uncle like that with her face uncovered. So immediately she pulled her. She said, "No, this is the Mukhachandra, the moon-like face of Govinda Dev." So that's how these three deities came. Then we told Gopinath was found by Madhu Pandit in Bamsivat, and Madan Mohan is a whole other story, but he was found under a tree just beneath the Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan. There's a place called Advaita Vat. Vat, means banyan tree. So underneath that tree, Advaita Prabhu, when he was doing his pilgrimage all over India, he came to Braj and he found, that time he was known as Madana Gopal. But that time Vrindavan was just jungle. A few tribals were living there. So he took that deity and gave it to one Purushottam Chobe in Mathura. Because in regular language we say Chaturvedi, but in Braj they're called Chobe. So he was Purushottam Chobe. And Sanatana Goswami found him in Chobe's house. He was doing Madhukari and he came there and he found that Madan Mohan was there. And in dream, Madan Mohan came and said, he came to Purushottam Chobe. He said that you have so many sons who take care of you, and the Sanatana Goswami has no one. Let me go with Sanatana Goswami. So next time Sanatana Goswami came, he said, here, you take, he wants to go with you. So he took Madan Mohan there and leaned him up against a tree. And there's a whole other story there, how the temple came about. But that's how Madan Mohan was found. And Govindadev, Rupa Goswami was taking his bath at Keshigat. And some little cowboy came and said that every day there's a place called Gomti Tila. Every day this cow comes and pours milk into the ground. So Sanatana Goswami did this, or Rupa Goswami, this is very strange. So he went there. If you see Govindadev's on a little, Tila means hill. You'll see Govindadev's on a hill, maybe 13 feet elevation, 13 meters elevation. So, and he watched, and in the morning he saw this cow came and began to pour milk into the ground. So he called all the villagers, and they began to dig very carefully, and they found this beautiful deity of Govindadev underneath the ground in that spot. When you go around Sukhimambalit, the old Govindadev temple, you'll see a little chatri in the back. That's the place where Sanatana Goswami, or rather Rupa Goswami, found the deity of Govindadev. Okay. So if there's no other questions, we'll fall down to the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of that great personality who's given us all these wonderful deities and made this beautiful Krishna Balaram Mandir 50 years ago today, in a few days. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai.